who'd organised the reunion, his wife, Leslie, who they didn't know, and Megan and Brandon, who Sarah had stayed in touch with on social media since school. "How much further?" she asked, glancing at the sat-nav. The traffic was still moving very slowly. She hoped they'd arrive before it was dark. "There seems to be a hold-up on the slip road," Roshan said, also looking at the sat-nav. "Once we're off the motorway, it's about an hour. Can you text Austin and tell him we're running late? He wanted us all there by 4 o'clock so we could serve dinner. Nice idea to have us all sit down to dinner when we arrive." "What time shall I say? Around 4:30? Roshan nodded. Sarah sent the text to Austin. "Sorry, running late. Aim to be with you at 4:30. She looked at the skyline ahead. It was already a grey, overcast day, and the sun had begun its descent, turning the clouds even darker. The last week in October, it was dark by 5:30, even earlier if there was a lot of cloud cover. She shuddered at the thought of arriving at the converted church with its graveyard in the dark, but said, "Pity Austin didn't arrange our get-together in the summer." "That's partly our fault as teachers, if you remember," Roshan reminded her. "We're the ones limited to school holidays, and there was nothing available for this summer that had 4 bedrooms, so half-term was the next best slot." Sarah's phone bleeped, and she read out the message. "Austin says, 'Fine, drive safely,' and he's looking forward to seeing us." "As we are him." Sarah placed her phone in her lap and gazed out of her side window at the slowly passing grassy bank as the car inched forward. "To be honest, I was surprised he invited me," Sarah said after a few moments. "You were much closer to him than I was." "But we were all part of that group, and that's what we agreed before we left and went our separate ways, that in 10 years' time we'd meet and see what we'd made of our lives." I was surprised he'd remembered. Last year I wondered what Austin was doing and tried to find him on social media, but there was nothing. Not on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. It even crossed my mind he might be dead. Then, suddenly, he appears on social media and finds us all. "I wonder what he's been doing," Sarah asked absently. "You mean apart from qualifying as a psychiatrist? That takes years." "I was thinking more in his private life. I mean, you and I have kept in touch with Megan and Brandon, but no one has heard from Austin since we left." "He didn't say much about his private life, but he's bringing Leslie." "Yes, the only one of the group we don't know. Why didn't he add her to the WhatsApp group he set up?" "I suppose he thought it wasn't necessary, that he could tell her the arrangements for meeting." Roshan touched the brake as the traffic in front ground to a halt, and the sun continued its descent. Chapter 2. It was dusk as they pulled into the village, the sky a murky grey. "Take the next turning on the left, and you have reached your destination," the sat-nav announced. Roshan followed the directions as Sarah peered through her side window. The trees were losing their leaves, but between the semi-bare branches she could make out the outline of the church. It looked exactly as it had online, except instead of sunlight shimmering on the stained glass windows, they were now illuminated from within. Austin had raved about the lattice windows in his text messages, as they were among the many original features that had been sensitively restored. Roshan took the left turn, and the car bumped over the single-track gravel lane and then onto the hard standing in front of the gate. He parked next to the other 2 cars and cut the engine. "I need to use the bathroom," he said, opening his car door. "Out you get." Sarah didn't move. Although the small 18th century converted church was like its picture, she now saw it wasn't next door to a cemetery. It was in the middle of it. The graveyard loomed to the right and left of the building, at the front, and as far as she could see in the dusk, to the back.